Look, check this out. Black women are tired. They're tired of being independent. They're tired of being looked at as the strongest. They're tired of having to take care of the kids by themselves. They're tired of bearing all the weight. Don't believe the hype that you see on all of these social media networks. Black women are tired, and the reason why I know this because I talk and have conversations with a lot of black women. But what a black woman really want, she want to be able to go to the soccer games. She want to not have to be the sole leader and sole provider of her family. She want to support the man who God gave her to be with. She want to be a helpmeet. The thing is, she's been placed in this position where she's had to lead. She's had to step up to the plate and become something that she really didn't want to be in the first place. She want to support her man. She want to nurture her kids. She want to nurture her husband while pursuing things that she's passionate about. That's it. It's that simple. The thing is, she just can't find a suitable leader that she trusts to come in and relieve her of these responsibilities so that she can finally get some rest, because that's what she wants. Rest.
All right. We are excited to be back. And of course, I miss this young lady right here. Dr. Trissa, welcome back to the couch. It is good to see you. And so we decided we're going to have an intimate conversation this time, and a very important conversation. So we want to know, what do you think? You know, what are we tired of, or are we not tired? Is rest what we need? What do you think, Dr. Trissa?
Yes, thank you for having me back. And yes, we are tired. We are tired.
She's like, I could personally speak on this topic.
What we want is more money in the bank, better respect. But no, on all a serious note, I saw that video too, and I mean, his words resonated. It resonated in a way that you didn't even realize it resonated. At least for me, because I can say it is true. You know, you have to don that, whether it's the mask, the shroud, the veil of being the strong Black woman and handling all the things, and yet you're like crumbling on the inside. You're tired, you're fatigued, you're overstressed, your body is in constant inflammation because you're just stressed all the time. And but you have to put on that facade of being strong because, well, you're a Black woman, one, and you have to be strong for your family, for your community, for your profession, for your job, for your everything. And yes, we are tired, whether we acknowledge it or not, but we are tired. And the strong Black woman trope is killing us.
Yes.
We need
Yes.
rest.
And it's interesting because there became a wave where it started to be this trend of the soft Black woman, right? And the soft Black woman or soft woman started to trend, but it still feels like it's just basically a trend of memes and posts, but not necessarily that society have changed or a social atmosphere have changed in any way that will lead to us being softer. So have attitudes changed? Do others see us as being soft, or are our view still that we're the strong Black woman? I think people still view us as being this strong, mighty Black woman, you know, and it's okay to be strong, but it's kind of like, what does strong mean? You know,
Right.
and oftentimes strong means that you do it all, that you take on everyone's load, that you are basically the burden carrier. And that's what strong has meant in this society for a long time. So Black women have kept the households together, paid
Right.
for all of the bills, you know,
Mhm.
have kept the family together. We're oftentimes the mediator at home and at work, you know, and this struck a nerve because I physically felt tired this week. So it was definitely the week for me to hear that message. Um, seriously, but as I listened to it, I started to think, well, is rest really what we need? Because that was the summary of his, or the conclusion of what he was saying was Black women need rest. And my thought was, I wouldn't need rest if some of the things that led me to being tired would have changed.
Right.
So it's, you know, in this particular, we have so many movements going on, but nothing seems to have really shifted. Perhaps it's still early in the process, But I don't know, you guys, what do you guys think? Do you still see any changes where the workload of the household is being more shared? That there are more involvement of um,
All parties.
singles or co-parenting. That's the word you see, I'm tired. Can't even think of the word co-parenting. But are we seeing better co-parenting? Are we seeing that? What do you think?
I will be honest, and I have to only speak from my position, my place, and in my circle. And in general, I'm not seeing that consistent sharedness. Now, I'm not going to say all of my friends, I'm not going to say many of my friends, most of my friends, but I will say a lot of my friends, as the women in the relationship, as the moms, are still the ones that are doing most of the work. They're still the ones that are doing the scheduling of the appointments for the dentist, for the doctor, for the whatever the case may be. They're still the ones taking on the responsibility of, okay, I will prepare the lunches for this, or make sure they have appropriate clothing for school, or appropriate clothing for church, or whatever we have going out. They're still the ones that are taking on the brunt of that kind of work. So it's still that emotional workload, and that unpaid labor, as we've come to know it as, that has to be done within the household. They're still the ones that are doing this and like delegating. So managers of the household are still the mom, and this is the case whether they are a stay-at-home mom or whether they're working full-time out in the field, just like the dad is. So in many cases, I'm still seeing a lot of that happening. I will say that I've there's some of the men that I know that are really good at still engaging and being more hands-on with their kids, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's still looked upon as being, oh, you're doing such a great job being hands-on with your kids. No one's going to say that to the mom.
Right. Yeah.
It's
The
just expected
expectation
that
is that
you're going to
moms
be
are doing it. And it's
right.
kind of like dads are congratulated for caring, for babysitting their kids.
For
It's not
babysitting.
babysitting if it's your kids.
And so we have still a lot of that sentiment that goes
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, it becomes a question of, is it truly rest, or is it more? No, I keep thinking back to all those posters you see of equality. They'll show like the three individuals looking at a baseball game.
Equity and equality.
There we go. There we go. So we're not looking for the equality of everybody having the same thing, but the equity in the distribution of what has to be done, the equity in how the home gets managed, the equity in how the children's lives are managed. I still think that we're looking for equity. Equity would give us the share of rest, I think, that we need, or the time to still, commune and be ourselves, and not just be mom and wife.
And what would that look like? What would that equity look like? I could definitely say for me that equity looks like I don't have to work twice as hard at the same job as someone else in the same position. Just because I'm a Black woman, I have to kind of prove myself even more so because the expectation is on a different level. So I would like to be able to go home and have a work-life balance. I would like to go home and basically be able to finish my work at work and come home and be at home. But that's usually not the case. And granted, this is a more general cultural thing when it comes to United States of America, that our work-life balance is pretty much non-existent, especially in certain sectors. But I would definitely say I feel that specifically for women of color, that we are even, I need this to behave, that we are even more likely to have these imbalances of a work life. So that's equity for me, is not having to go the extra mile, like having to do exactly the same amount of work and get the same accolades, get the same recognition as the next person.
So I agree in terms of the professional world, on that wife and mother world. It would look more like shared dinner making responsibilities, shared child care responsibilities, in that, like, the things, you have the ones that are old enough that you still need to be monitoring them when they're doing the shower, when they're doing the this, that, the other, the next. It'd be shared of those responsibilities. It would be shared things like checking homework to make sure it's done, reading with the child on a regular basis, little
So
things like that.
the nurturing.
Right. All exactly. It would be shared nurturing goals, because then everybody can be more nurturing to each other if you're not having to spend all your time nurturing and not necessarily being nurtured back sometimes. So it has to be that balance of everybody gets a chance and everybody gets a turn to do it. And sometimes it's going to have to be based on the circumstances. So if it is that mom is working from home, not meaning working an outside job from home, but at working at home mom. And I'm going to say that as opposed to saying, oh, she just stays at home, because it is a job when you're staying at home and having to maintain the things. It is understandable if she's going to be the one to, let's say, make the phone calls, because she may have a bit more availability in the time during the day to get the appointment set in.
Right.
That may make more sense. That would be an equitable thing. But then there's some, dad has to take some of the other parts of it, whether it is, well, you know what, on the weekends it's dad and kid time, you guys go and do something else, so that mom is not necessarily encumbered, like just different ways of carrying the burden. Not that it's a burden like, oh my God, but sharing the workload.
Yeah, and I've heard some women say, like, you don't necessarily have to figure it all out, because it really is a culture shift. And I don't know if we'll necessarily see these changes in this particular generation. I would love to. I would love to retire and have a life that's more equitable. But sometimes it just means that you recognize that I'm working harder. And because you recognize that I'm working harder, guess what? I get my self-care time. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you get self-care time too, unless we have met that equitable place. So if we met that equitable place and you have been working, putting your share work in the relationship, or your shared work in the child rearing, then yeah, we can both have our self-care time. But if right now you can be honest and know that I am really carrying the load of a lot of the household caring and management, and I'm truly the CEO of the house, then yeah, how about I get really truly protected self-care time, where you're like, we're not gonna bother you for Sunday between this hour and that hour. That is yours. Just check in with us and let us know that you're okay. That's what I would like to see for women. Now, this is me looking inward, because I'm clearly not married and clearly don't have kids. But that, for me, if I were in that position, would be at least some type of compromise.
It would be quite helpful. It would be quite helpful and take us a long way. But I can honestly say, even with that, it gets to be a lot of work when there's a lot of pressure on the moms to do the everythings, the everythings.
Yeah.
The expectation that it'll be done by moms.
It's kind of that. It's kind of like that. That conundrum where you have that protected time, but the work you have to do before that protected time, like you're rushing to get all this stuff done, and then after that protected time, you're rushing to get all these other stuff done that didn't get done while you were having your self-care time.
It almost makes you feel like you shouldn't have taken that self-care time. It almost feels like
I made a joke about it when it comes to vacation, because I feel like I work my butt off before vacation, then I work my butt off after vacation, and it kind of defeats the purpose of vacation. So
you
I
need
feel
a second
like
vacation.
Yeah. Basically. And I still feel that way. But yeah, I see what you're saying in that context, that it can sometimes still mean that you are working your butt off. So your self-care time and whatever replenishing you get during that time may be depleted pretty quickly, because you're still living in this unequitable lifestyle. So yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if that's all that I would love rest. But I would love to just really not need the rest. I would love that everything that I
Right.
experience from a day to day doesn't have to be laced in racism, or I don't always have to be monitoring for that consciously. Like, was that racist?
Right.
Was that a racist tone? Was that
Right.
sexist? Was that a sexist tone? Was that ageist? Was that ageist tone? Like, I feel like we're constantly having to monitor
Right.
because oftentimes we fall so vulnerable to things that are done and how things are structured in society, whether it's in our career or in our home, or just even going out and trying to buy something, but people are following you. Like that extra stress, if you cannot do that or not give us a break that we don't have to experience that in our neighborhoods. Someone was telling me the other day that in a particular neighborhood in my hometown, that everything in the major retail store was basically locked down. And I would love for us in our neighborhoods not have to have those experiences where we have to constantly ask them, hey, can you unlock this shampoo case so I can get some shampoo to wash my hair? You know, whereas in other neighborhoods, you can basically walk through the aisles, touch and pick up whatever you want, and you don't have those experiences. So I think all those experiences from a day to day are what makes us feel so drained. Because
Yes.
it is emotionally draining, it is physically draining, it is mentally draining. So even though you go home, you get your sleep that night, guess what? You get up and you're dealing with the same thing again the next day. You're exhausted.
Yes.
It's exhausting being us.
Yes.
It's
This is why
absolutely
we need
exhausting
rest.
being us. And you are exhausted chronically on a daily basis. And it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter what relationship you have, it doesn't matter what job you have. It is absolutely exhausting on a daily basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
on that note, I would say kudos to this dude for being at least conscious enough. And I like that we're seeing that. But I don't want this to be just, and I don't know this guy from Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, whether or not he actively does what he preaches, so to speak.
Right.
But,
Right. Right.
oftentimes you hear these great bites on social media that you're like, wow, that's a great point. I hope this is just not one of those. I hope this is just
Right.
not a bite where it sounds good. It's hitting something that that we're gonna be like, yes, brother, yes. But I actually want to see some action. I want to see some brothers do more. I want to see some brothers step up to the plate. I want to see some brothers, and it's not to say that they don't have their hardship either. And I'm not ignoring that. So please don't message me or text me about that. I get it. I know. But comparatively speaking, they still not working as hard. I'm just saying, in general, there are exceptions,
Because
but in general,
the expectation is that we're still supporting them all.
right, right. At the end of the day, we are supporting them who is supporting everybody else, which means we're supporting everybody. So at the end of the day, yes, they have challenges as being men of color in the US. We know this. But when they come home, it's interesting how that dynamic shifts and they become sometimes contributors to the oppressive experience of sisters. I'm just going to leave it there because I don't want to receive messages from the rest of y'all. We'll discuss that on another day because that's a whole other topic. But
don't be messaging her. Don't do it.
Don't do it because I'm not going to respond right now because that's another topic that really needs a whole lot of dissecting. But basically, they oftentimes come home, they lay their burden, and we receive it. Well, not me because I'm single, but in general, we receive it and we deal with what their issues and their stresses are, and we become their comforter, right? But then who's comforting us? So I would like to see some men to step up to the plate and do a little bit more, be a little bit more. And even if you are a single Black man, but you're a neighbor to a single woman who has a kid. Now, granted, the kid is not your responsibility, but for example, it takes simple things. So if you see one of the things that, just be a friendly neighbor, as it sounds very typical, but it's so important sometimes to, and so well appreciated when someone just says, hey, I see you struggling with your groceries. You single woman. I know ain't nobody else helping you. Why don't I help you this one time? How about I help you with your groceries into your house? You know how many times I come here and yes, I am a single grocery trip woman. I will try to get everything in the house in one trip. I'm just that woman. Okay. And I take it as a workout session. So I try to benefit, build up the muscles, all that stuff. But anyway, how many times have I live in a community. So how many times have I pulled up my car? I'm clearly single. There's clearly no dude around, right? And I will see other young Black men playing outside, hanging out, doing whatever. And not once have I ever been saying, and granted, maybe society has led us to be in our own shells, in our own compartments, but never once has anyone ever said, hey, ma'am, do you want me to help you with your bags? What happened to those days? People don't help each other anymore. I mean, granted, we have COVID and Corona and all that, COVID and monkeypox and all those other things that people are scared to touch one another. But I think if you can go to the movies, if you could go out to dinner, if you could go to the club, and I know you're going to the club, you can help a woman with some grocery bags. And I feel like it's the simple things like that, that even if you're not in the dynamics of having your own family structure, that's a way that you can, in that one moment, especially when I'm tired, I would be so appreciative if somebody said, let me help you with those bags today. As simple as that. We're not asking for much.
Yep.
But we'll see. It may take a lifetime. It may take our lifetime. It may take a couple of generations because, generational shifts for behavioral patterns to change. But at least I'm glad that we're starting to have this type of dialogue.
And not being put by us.
Right. Exactly. And perhaps we need to have men talking to other men. Maybe that's where the shift needs to be done, because we got no problem with you helping. So you don't need to come to us and talk to us, because it was basically an audience of women. Yeah, that's true. Why was it an audience of women? Because you don't need to talk to us. We are very happy to receive that help. And I know there's some sisters who are still caught up in being a strong Black woman. And we're going to talk about that on another day. That's a whole other trauma response that we need to talk about and defunct, and also deprogram ourselves from that stereotype. But for the most part, I think sisters we have celebrities like, what's my girl? It is blank o'clock. Lizzo. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Y'all, I'm tired. Like I said, we need some rest. But but Lizzo, I've seen her promote things where she's like, I'm soft. I want to be soft. And there are a couple other celebrities who are really echoing that message. So we don't have problems accepting the help. That's not, it's speaking to the others to give the help is what we need. And that's what we're asking for. So perhaps the audience for this particular soundbite should not have been women. Like perhaps the audience should have been men, and having that conversation with other men so that we can start to see some behavioral changes.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, we love y'all for hanging out with us. Make sure you let us know what you think. Do you want help? What are you asking for? Black women, I know you're out there, you're watching this. We want to know, what do you think Black women need? What do you need? What will help your life be better? We want to know. And while you're thinking about that, click on the link and make sure you subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, but you're not really knowing when we are going on, when we're having these conversations and posting our videos, that means you probably haven't clicked the bell. So make sure you click the bell and get your notifications so that you know when we're going up. And we know it's not perfect. Sometimes, these platforms be shading. But anywho, at least make sure that you've done your part, and know that the earlier you watch our videos after their post, the more we're likely to get out front of the audience. So I know some people have their own routine as to when they watch these videos, but if you can watch it a little bit earlier, so that we can get these videos out front, because what these algorithms look at the timing which people are watching the videos and the frequency in which to watch the videos after the videos are posted. And that's how to determine whether or not the content is considered to be valuable. Now, I know you guys feel our content is valuable, and we appreciate that. But now let's do the work to make sure that these algorithms also understand that our content is valuable. So we thank you guys for watching. And Dr. Trista, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram at Trista.Job. Oh, good Lord. It's been so
It's been
long.
a minute. You see, we told y'all it's been a minute. That's why we have to have intimate conversations with her. Make sure you catch the next one. Okay, Dr. Tristan, let's try that again. Where can they find you?
TristanJob.dpt.
She been working hard, y'all. She been working hard. But we are happy to have her back on the couch with us.
Goodness.
We're so very excited. And I know she's not here with us this evening. She's also relocating. We just want to shout out Marquita for joining the team and for her nutritional insight. We appreciate her, and we are happy to have her join the team. And now that being said, if you want to make sure that when you're done with this video and you purchased your gear, make sure you purchase your gear. Understand we need that support financially to keep all the cost that goes with it. Stuff ain't free. I know people think, oh, it's a free platform. It really isn't, because a lot of apps and things that you need to use to get these videos up that ain't free. Okay, and it adds up a lot. So we want to be able to keep this content going and to keep this information before you. So if you can, buy a hat, buy a bag, buy a sweater, buy a t-shirt. Not asking for really much. Just a little bit more support. And why not? You're part of the village. We want people to know that you're part of the village. Let them know. So we go grocery shopping. I am thankful for the aunties and the grandmas and all those seasoned women who are out there who are rocking our shirts in the grocery store. We see y'all and we appreciate y'all for doing so. So join them, the leader of the pack. Okay, join them with the gear. Make sure you hit us up. And when you're done there, hop on over to the gram and hit us up at healthybump.club. We love you guys for watching as always, and we see y'all when the next episode.